One. Welcome in, fellas.
What's
Going on?
Joe, thank you again for coming and doing a reoccurring episode with us, man. This is number 2 for you with us now.
Yes, sir. No problem. Anytime.
And
It's always cool chilling with some diehard MMA fans.
is it, if you want to call us that? I mean, we definitely just saw you win your belt back this weekend with Cage Titan. Me and Murky had a lot of people in here supporting you, man. It was a fun time in Discord on Saturday night, and I think we are probably just as excited as you were to win your belt to see you win it. So we're very happy to see you do that, man. So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's really cool hearing that, like, that you guys just like kind of rally people together to watch. Especially being on the local scene, knowing that people are rallying all over the country to watch me fight. It's just sick.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Like I said before, man, if it don't matter if it's the amateurs all the way down to the beginners, if it's MMA, we're gonna more than likely be watching it. So, and if anything, we want to support, the up and coming, organizations rather than the UFC. They got everything they need out there, So it's like, why not try to get these guys their names out there and get them to where they want to be? And what better way to do it than a Discord with 2, 3, 4,000 people in it? Share the love out there. So, but yeah, man, we appreciate you coming on, Murky. Thanks for joining.
Yeah,
per usual.
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm glad I could be here. I haven't even changed from my work clothes yet. It was like a crazy ass day. I came home. I have a really hardcore Italian wife or fiance and family, so she was like dinner was on the table.
Oh, she's chefing it up.
Yeah, homemade meatballs, pasta, some vodka sauce. I mean, just ridiculous on a Wednesday night, dude. She's a nutcase.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love
she's
it.
an absolute nutcase.
Hey, that sounds delicious, man. I wish.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong, man. I'm not complaining.
Speaking of that, Joe, you as well are engaged, correct? Is that right?
Correct. She did actually just make me chicken Alfredo, so I can't.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
Yes.
Hey, so you're in the same boat, man. So
I am.
Both
it's the best.
Both of you guys aren't even married yet. I'm over here sitting like, man, my wife made me like pork chops and potatoes, and you guys.
Hey, pork chops are good too, bro.
Yeah, we have pork chops
delicious,
Monday night.
So,
yeah,
good shit.
When did you get engaged, Joe?
Over the summer. It was August. It was the second week of August.
Okay, because you were not, I don't think, engaged the last time you came on here and talked to Dirty, right? So that's
I think it was a couple weeks after we talked. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
it was soon after.
I believe the last episode was actually before. It was got to been earlier this year, and you were training for a specific fight, and I think that fight fell through, right? It didn't end up.
I was supposed to fight in July, and that fell through. I think it was before that was supposed to be.
Yeah. Yep. So that fell through, and then after that, it was like another month, maybe 2-month gap where you were training, and then you had the fight with Dufort for the lightweight belt, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, cool, man. Well, let's get started. Again,
congrats on the engagement, bro.
Congrats on that for sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, congrats on that, and then congrats on your victory this weekend, man.
Thank you.
So you had a big fight defending, or really, I guess you want to say defending.
What do we even say?
It's a weird thing. I feel like for the legitimacy of it, I'm going to say reclaiming, because I did vacate it. I did give it up.
Fair enough.
So you weren't necessarily defending. So that's while I was watching it, they were like, and new and still. And
yeah, even they didn't really know.
Yeah. Nobody really knew what to say.
Yeah, because I did vacate, but then I didn't lose it and nobody else fought for it. So technically it was vacant, but I don't know. It was weird. So I was trying to get everybody on the same page, but it was hard.
Was this the first fight for the 170 since you vacated?
Yes. So I vacated. So after I lost to Dufort, I told Cage Titans, I was like, listen, I planned on going up to welterweight and defending that title after Dufort, because honestly, after Dufort in my area, there's nobody. I mean, Dufort's not even from my area. He's from Canada.
Yeah, Canada. Right.
But after him, there is nobody left for me at 155. It's either guys that are on losing streaks or guys that won't fight me. And so it's one of those things where I was like, all right, I have 2 belts. I don't want to hold up a division. Well, now that Dufort beat me, I have a goal. I have a target. I was like, so I'm going to vacate the 170 belt. I've got teammates in that weight class. I don't want to hold them up. I was like, let me get back on the grindstone. If I have to fight somebody else before I rematch Dufort, so be it. I was like, but I want to focus on 55. And then my teammate got hurt who was fighting for the belt. They texted
Right.
me, and I was like, I actually texted them, and I didn't plan on it being this fight, but I was like, if somebody can't make it to fight night, let me know. Like, I'll consider it. And then like a week later, they text me and were like, hey, we need you for 170. You down? And I was like, shit, I guess so.
Yeah, so that was going to be my question. So your main focus after the fight with Dufort was to strictly focus on on the lightweight belt again. That journey, you were cool with cutting the weight, getting down to there. You were comfortable at that weight.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it's been years, honestly, since I've had a definitive path or goal at 155. Fighting at 55, my goal has been fight whoever until I'm in the UFC. But, after you go on a 5-fight win streak with 4 finishes and you're not in the UFC, it's like, what do I have to do? What
Exactly.
is the goal? But, now fighting a guy nationally ranked, a guy that beat me like Dufort, that's a set in stone goal. You know what I mean? I feel like I can beat him 9 out of 10 times. He's obviously really, really good. So I know it's a challenge. You know what I mean? Just like when we originally got booked to fight, it's something that gets me out of bed. It's not a fight where I'm like, all right, this guy's kind of decent at this. It's like, no, he's good.
Yeah.
And I like those fights. I like going into fights where I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna win. Like, I'm just gonna train my ass off and do what I do.
Yeah.
Kind of like this last fight. The Dufort fight and the short notice fight was like, I don't know if I'm gonna win. Even as confident as I am, like I went into those 2 fights, like I don't know. I was like, because I know I don't care how the fight with Dufort went. I know I outworked him that entire fight camp. There's nobody on the planet working harder than me, and I got smoked, which almost gave me confidence in this last
Yeah.
fight because I was like, this guy's been doing a whole fight camp. I got 10 days, but I'm like, sometimes it just doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who worked hard or something like,
Yeah.
and there's a video on it, like winning's not loyal to you. It doesn't matter what you put in. You could still do everything and lose. And I was like, unfortunately, I was on the wrong end of that, and now it's my time to be on the right end of it.
I feel like it's almost more just mental, like the mentality that you had coming off the loss, going into this fight, taking it on that short notice, knowing that's your belt, quote unquote, that's your belt. You vacated it, you want it back. I mean, you get that call. Were you mentally like ready at coming off the loss to say like, I'm ready, let's go now? Like, no questions asked, or did you question it? What was that kind of thought going through your head when they called you and said, hey, he's out?
So I signed up for like a bunch of jiu-jitsu tournaments after my fight because I wanted to sit back and just stay in shape and stay active and competitive without, stressing out and focusing about a fight and stuff because it's so expensive to, go to AKA and do all my preparations. But I wanted to be active. I didn't want to go back to sitting on the couch like I was the 8 months prior before that. So I was in shape. I was in the gym working on wrestling, everything I needed to improve on, still do need to improve on, but like just randomly, we just in the gym, I don't know if it was just me or everybody else included, like we just kind of turned it up a notch. And these last few weeks, like especially the 10 days after I took the fight, were so damn tiring. I went into weigh-ins before this fight feeling just as tired as I am in a normal fight camp. Like almost that relief of like, oh, I'm so glad that I can just fight and have a couple days off of training because we were training so hard that it was like, that's a vacation for me. Like we train so hard that when I fight, yeah, I get a little beat up, but the 2 or 3 days after where I can just sit at home and watch TV, I'm like, oh, this is nice. I worked for this.
Yeah. Play zombies on Call of Duty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like I kind of, we had it in overdrive. We were busting our ass, and it gave me a little bit of confidence leading up to this fight. And when I had that relief come weigh-in time, I was like, all right, I know that I'm ready to fight because I'm just as tired as I am on a full week or full fight camp. And it paid off in dividends.
I mean, you didn't have to cut a lot of weight, right?
Right.
No,
Yeah, I
it was
saw
great.
that you were like easily what? You were 7 pounds or something like that. What
Yeah,
was it?
so I was the day before weigh-ins, I was 177,
Okay.
and I ate a big breakfast, I had a small lunch, and then I went to the gym and I just wrestled all night. That was honestly the hardest night of the 10-day camp. And we actually had somebody from another gym come in, and they were like, "You always train this hard, this close to weigh-ins?" I was like, "Absolutely not, but I'm not really cutting weight." I ended up sweating out 5 pounds that night, and I was like, all right, I'm going to bed. I could have finished that night, but I was like, I feel like because we trained so hard, the sleep is more important. So I went to bed early. I woke up early the next day around like 6 o'clock, and then because I'm at 170 and not depleted at 55, I went to the sauna and was done in like 30 minutes. I was like, oh, this is
so
great.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm sure that definitely helped too going into the fight, just with your, recovery, your, how you were able to pace yourself and things like that too. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a great experience walking out of there in 30 minutes. And I called my girl. I was like, I'm on weight. She was like, already? I was like, don't question it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing too. I noticed like and maybe just like in what you were just talking about, the mentality, taking the short notice. So there's a few things. One, my favorite fighters always are the ones that are just like, yeah, yeah, you want to fight so and so? Yeah, sure. Right? Like the we talk about this a lot, me and him, like it I understand it's people's careers, so people get selective on who they want to fight. And but as from a fan's perspective, there's a higher level of appreciation for a fighter that's just on go mode,
Yep.
like whatever. And you really weren't even in that mindset. Like you had yourself, like, yeah, I'm gonna do some jujitsu competitions, take some time, whatever. Um, but then you're texting them like, hey, if anybody if anybody drops out, like
Just in
I'm here.
case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here, not even knowing who drops out. And then yeah, I mean, this fight came up obviously short notice, and it's just you make it happen. And yeah, like I watched the weigh-ins, and I looked at your opponent, and I was like, look at this fucking little guy, dude. This motherfucker's
He
stocky.
was stocky,
Yeah,
bro.
like,
Big
yo,
dude, man.
dude. Yeah,
Big
dude,
dude.
what the fuck is this? How much? 169 he weighed? Nah, dude, I don't think so.
My
You know?
fiance's dad said the same thing. He was like, "There's no way he made 170." I was like, "I
No
swear." He
way,
was
dude.
like, "No way."
But
He's yoked. I'm
but
like, look at this little fucking. And then what surprised me, and like kind of start talking about the fight a little bit. What surprised me is I expected him to like really push like a takedown on you harder. Did
yeah.
you like are you surprised at all
Oh,
that
yeah.
there I mean, he was looking to catch your leg kick, which really in our opinion, we just watched it 7 times. In my opinion, is what set up that switch kick that man just ate your shin to his face.
Yep.
I don't know why the Massachusetts police aren't at your door arresting you for murder after what we just went. Like it was just, but he kept reaching for that leg, and I'm thinking like, oh, he's really gonna try to take him down. He's really gonna try to take him down. He's really gonna try to take him down, and he just never committed to shoot on you, to do anything like that. Did that surprise you at all?
Yeah, 100%. Me and my team talked about it in between rounds actually, and after the fight. I only hit pads once in the 10 days leading up to the fight. Everything else was grappling and wrestling because
He was
if
ready
you
for
see
it.
my fight with Dufour and then you turn around and
Yeah,
fight a
Exactly.
bigger version of Dufour, it's like, all
yeah,
right, this is our
yeah.
easiest path to victory. So that's,
Right,
dude, I was wrestling with some D1 wrestlers, some world class jiu-jitsu black belts. Like we were in the trenches. And
right.
then about a minute in, I was like, this guy doesn't want to wrestle. I was like, what the we did this whole thing backwards.
But
But I think it helped with the cardio for sure. I mean, it's the hardest sport in the world, so
shit, you
Right.
ain't lying, man. But do you feel like him trying to do that? I'm sure you noticed throughout the that first round that he was trying to catch that leg. Was that already in your head, like, I'm gonna set this up, or did you just kind of start noticing that he wasn't gonna wrestle? He was trying to catch your kick, and then you were like, hey, if he tries to do it one more time, I'm just going to switch and catch him with the other leg.
so that was kind of like a second round adjustment. In the first, I learned pretty quick that he wasn't going to try and wrestle. Those
Yep.
kind of like John Jones instep kicks to the knee.
Yep.
You have to be very light on your feet, and it puts you in a position way out of wrestling range.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of knew out the gate. I was like, all right, we're not wrestling. Thank God. I can strike for 25 minutes on 10 days notice. I don't know
Yeah.
about 25
Yeah.
minutes of wrestling.
Right.
But so I kind of knew it was going to be a striking match, but I also think I kind of have a style where just me in general. If you look at me and you don't know, like you can't see my ears, like with headphones or a beanie on, you're like, that kid fights, like what the hell? Even in the cage, you see me, especially short notice on 170. I got love handles. I'm melting out of my clothes. So you're like, whatever. This kid doesn't hit hard. This kid's not that intimidating. But even my striking, my opponents are very comfortable because you're not in danger until I want you to be in danger.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Everything leads to something. And even throughout the first round before, I realized that kick would eventually be there, I was kind of just doing my thing and seeing what openings he would give me and stinging him where the opportunity was. And then come out in the second, I realized that he had caught a couple of my kicks in the first, and I was like, all right, we got to throw away the body kick. We're either going upstairs or we're going low to the leg. And it's funny, my lead leg kick seems so lazy, but there's certain traps that I have from there that the one I used being one of them.
Yep.
So I just put it out there to see how he would react, and after a couple I realized, I was like, oh, he still wants to catch my kick even if it is a low calf kick. And I was like, all right, I wonder how long that I can get him to, bait on this. And he did land a couple punches when I threw them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, he's confident that he can start turning it up on me. And then, it was funny, like the split second before I threw it, I'd already decided like the next kick I'm going to switch and throw it. As I decided that, I hear my corner go switch kick, and I was like, all right, well, if I'm thinking it and he's thinking it, then I got to be onto something. Right. And I've practiced that kick for years. I've been getting yelled at in the gym for years to throw more kicks like that. And I tell everybody, I go, when I do throw it, it's going to be perfect. It's going to be on my terms, not to just look cool.
Yeah.
And everything in me was like, this is it. This is the moment. And I threw it. And I knew it was perfect because when I made the connection, I didn't even feel it. It felt like, how they say when you play baseball, like you hit a home run, you don't even feel it come off the bat.
Yep.
That's exactly what it felt like.
You just
and then
didn't
when
feel
my
a grown man's head hit off your leg.
Yeah, I didn't even feel it. But then when I brought my foot down and he fell, in my eyes, it was like in slow motion. And I was like, holy shit, it worked.
Yeah.
Yep. Then you just got on and finished the ground and pound.
So we obviously we watched it live, right? And then watched the knockout live. I don't know that I picked up on the low leg kicks until we were rewatching. Now, because then I knew what was coming and what to look for. And then we were watching throw. I don't know that I would call him lazy, but I do think like it's just a feeler to see how he's going to react, like you just said, right? Like you're kind of throwing this little leg kick at his knee, and every time, and we were rewatching. I said to him, I said, "Do you see what he just did?"
Yep.
And because he went full down to like grab this low ass kick, and I'm like, that's what and then knowing in the back of my mind what comes after that, I'm like, oh my God, dude, it's just beautiful. Like it's so beautiful how you watch the setup of something, you see it, and you're like, holy shit, dude, this guy's about to get rocked and he has no idea. It was so good. And then
the question mark kicks too. I wanted to talk to you about that. Those were those were superb, dude. You caught him 2 or 3 times, just right over his right, right over his right, right over his right, at least 2 or 3 times with those kicks. And me and Murky were sitting here talking about it, like, dude, they just look so good. It just looks so fluent, like it just came off, boom, 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 like
it's so fast. I paused the fight like, I don't know, almost after every one, because I'm amazed by shit like that, because I don't believe that my leg bends that way. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things you see somebody do and you're like, what the fuck type time is he on? Like, how does your leg move like that?
Yeah.
And it's so fast. And there's 2 that I know that caught him, because you could see him catch him, and he tried to he was like, oh,
yeah.
I'm like, dude, that stung you right in the face, dude. That shit hurt. I don't care.
So to me, when I see that, like, I don't react. Some people, like, they kind of laugh, like, no, I know I got you. Like, I just don't react because I don't care. When I see it, I'm like, I know that sucked. I don't need to remind you that it sucked. You already know.
Right.
But I think I've said it before. I don't know if I've said it like maybe on a vlog of mine or just with buddies, but like, and it's definitely a problem of mine. Like, I'm always trying to do things, and it sounds lazy, but I'm trying to have easy fights. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get my easiest path to victory and follow it. My last 5 fights before Dufort, I threw a couple of knees against Darius Estelle a few years back, and then the rest I feel like it's just been a lot of boxing. And everybody's like, you're boxing, you're boxing, you're boxing. My boxing is actually just decent. Like, it's mid-tier. My striking is so much better when I use everything. Yeah. But, prior to the Dufort fight, all my losses are decisions with guys holding me down. And that gets opened up by kicks. So I kind of got a little gun shy, and also was just kind of like, well, none of these guys can box with me. So why am I going to even give them the opportunity by throwing these kicks? I'm just going to box them all up. And it worked for a bit, but, in that sense of, whether it was laziness and just doing the easiest thing to win or being gun shy, I feel like it also took away a sense of danger that my opponents did have before. You know what I mean? So you can expect a lot more of what you saw in that Pat Casey fight moving forward at 55 or 70, wherever I end up fighting.
Yeah.
The goal is 55, but you can expect a lot more versatility, not just in my striking, but with more wrestling and things like that. And that's something I talked about after the Dufort fight, where, you know, I feel like when I'm not in fight camp, I'm just at home doing jujitsu. That's it. I'm doing bag work at my place, and then I'm doing mitt work and jujitsu, and that's it. And I felt like after that loss, I was cheating the game. You know what I mean? I'm not doing MMA. I'm doing jujitsu and then MMA for like 6 weeks leading up to the fight. And when you fight a guy as good as Dufort or better, that's not enough. So after my last fight, I linked up with the New England Cartel. I started getting working with them, which I think was another big piece that kept me fluid and loose leading up to this fight, even on 10 days' notice.
Nice, man. So right now it's on 6 out of the last 7, 5 out of finishes. Getting your belt back. What do you want next? What's kind of next path for you? I mean, I know the dream is to get back into the UFC and get a fight there. As far as Cage Titan goes, what's next for you there? Or do you have an idea of what you'd like to do?
I want Dufort again.
You want Dufort? Yeah, we want to see it.
You should.
I wanted to fight. I wanted to fight Dufort again the day after Dufort beat my ass.
Yeah.
But like as an MMA fan, as a fighter, like I know, like you kind of got to go earn your shot when you lose like that. And there were so many people that were like, dude, you got to get a rematch. You got to get a rematch. And this was my devil's advocate play was if I had beaten Dufort like that quickly, there would have been no rematch. I get it. I was the champ. I defended a few times, but there was no controversy. He went out, did his thing, he beat my ass. So like there's no reason for that. And I was totally set on I'm okay with earning another title shot. There being no other 55ers and now winning like that up a weight class on short notice, like I feel like that's a good enough statement to get my rematch. And I know that the UFC is going to Canada in January. If he chooses to wait it out, and if he gets signed, then I'll rematch him in the UFC one day. If he doesn't, I'll rematch him in March. If he doesn't want to wait and he wants to book a fight in January, I'd be more than happy to fight him in January. It's just a matter of seeing what happens. You know what I mean? But I do want that Dufort rematch, and I really do think that after this performance, he can't really sit there and go, he doesn't deserve it. Especially being that there's really no other 55ers for me to prove myself against. And I would hate to put a 155 title shot in jeopardy by fighting all these other killers at 170 who may be more dangerous and up a weight class. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's just like it's a tough spot for both of us, and I don't knock him really either way because, like I said, UFC in Canada, he's from Canada. If he wants to wait, cool. But I didn't wait when we got booked to originally fight. When I was driving to California to do my camp, watching the UFC Boston card on my phone instead of sitting at home being like, I hope the UFC calls me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, well, us over here, over the octagon, we'd want nothing more than that rematch to happen. And if it does happen in the States, we might actually make a little road trip, me and Murky, to come out there and watch it. So hopefully,
let me know. I'll get you boys hooked up.
Hey, man.
Yeah, I don't care where it's at. Yeah. I don't care where it's at. We'll come.
We would love to be there. It's probably going to be closer to Murky than it is for me. But, hey, it's worth the drive to come out there and support,
So what was it? In between or before this fight, I think before this most recent fight against Pat Casey, the Cage Titans 62, right? So on the Cage Titans thing, and I'm like on maps, and I'm like, how far where's it? Salem, Massachusetts, right?
Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Plymouth. All right. I'm like, how far is Plymouth, Massachusetts actually? And me and him, and I told him, I'm like, it's 6 hours, right?
That's not too bad.
That's what we said. That was literally my first thing. I was like, it's like 6 hours and 23 minutes. I was like, it's not that bad. Like, that's really not that bad, And it would take him 6 hours to get to me.
To you,
yeah.
Okay, that's where you get it.
Yeah, so it's a half a day road trip for me. But then again, I mean, I drive to Texas to see my brother, so it's a 12-hour drive for me there anyway. So
easy.
That's easy peasy, man. But hopefully we get that rematch and we can come out there and show some love and get out there and support you for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I already talked to my fiance. I got the green light. I talked to Cage Titans. I got the schedule for Cage Titans next year. I think it's 6 or 7 shows, and I plan on being, all goes well, I plan on being on the first 5. The schedule for once in the last 4 years works out perfectly where I can fight, I can train, I can work, and then in between fights, I can go like we're trying to plan like we're doing like a bachelorette party together. I think what do they call it, Jack and Jill or something like that. But like
It's a new one for me, dog. You would know. I don't know.
yeah, something like that. But like, so we plan on doing that, and with the dates we were looking at, I'll still have 9 weeks from that date to train for the next fight.
Awesome.
And then I can fight in September, and then after September, I can focus on the wedding. And if I have a black eye, I have plenty of time to heal up.
I was gonna
I
say.
think it'd
So
be more
what is
badass to get married with a black eye, though.
what's the date for the wedding? Do you have one yet?
November 1st, 2024.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We are.
Mine. That's a few days after mine. Mine's the 20th of September.
I got engaged in September as well.
Okay.
And yeah, so we are doing a little non-traditional. We're eloping to Italy.
Oh, that's nice.
In October. So end of
That'll be
October.
cool.
Yeah, so end of October 2024, I'll be signing my life away right there with you.
Well, you'll have to let me know the spots to go because I've always wanted to go to Italy. We were talking about it for our honeymoon and stuff. So you got to let me know the spots when you go.
Yeah, I don't. My brother went. He was talking to me. They went. Him and his wife went for like 10 days or 2 weeks or something, and they kind of bounced around. Went all over the country. I don't know that we're really going to do that. Maybe like a couple spots, but I just want to go and just relax.
Yeah, I feel you. That'll be awesome. See, my problem is I have to go to somewhere like Europe to go on vacation because if I go somewhere in the United States, I'll start looking up gyms. Like I'm the worst to go on vacation with. I'll be like, all right, so if, like they have team training from 9 a.m. to 12, so then we can go to the beach afterwards, and then I can make it for the second session before we go out for dinner. I'm the worst. It's terrible.
She knows what she signed up for. Dude.
Exactly. That's my defense.
She said yes, so she knows what she signed up for.
Yeah,
exactly.
we were just talking about that too, and I told him, I said, man, it's got to be tough just being a fighter wife, just knowing the struggles that you guys go through on the just weight cuts, potential knockouts, potential black eyes, potential just anything that can happen that goes along with the sport. They know they have to know what they signed up for. It's almost like being a military wife. You got to know what you're getting yourself into. If you don't, you'll never survive because you guys spend hours on top of hours, days on top of days, weeks on top of weeks, putting your life on the line, training each and every day to do what you love. And then, sometimes sometimes, you're trying to just pay the bills and trying to get to that big check, so, they got to understand that as well. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's your job, but it's also your passion and it's what you love to do. So
for sure. And it's funny because you hear not as much, but you do hear people talking about stuff like that. And me firsthand, like I can say that my fiance has put just as much into this. And obviously I've been doing this longer than we've been together, but she has put just as much into this financially, emotionally, physically. And she just got so good at like, it's funny if we're having a conversation and she sees me getting aggravated or like sees something annoying me out of the side of my eye, she's like, you're cutting weight. It's just a weight cut. It's just a weight cut. And I'm like, shit, you might be right. Like we went somewhere for lunch a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago when I was cutting weight and somebody was doing something stupid. Maybe they're like tapping a pen or something. I don't know. That stuff never bothers me. And I was just sitting there like, this motherfucker doesn't stop tapping that fucking pen. And she's like, it's the weight cut. You're good. Like that you don't care. And I'm like, all right, you might be right.
That's hilarious.
You're right. I never care about this.
Yeah,
why am I all of a sudden super pissed off?
Yeah, like the most annoying thing is she's like, because I never, like little things never bother me. So when they start to, she's like, hey, the weight cut's getting you. I'm like, oh, you right. Or if I kind of like snap at her a little bit, she's like, didn't like that tone. I'm going to let it pass because it's the weight cut. And I was like, I'm so sorry. You're probably right.
That's hilarious.
Good for her, man.
Sounds like she's got you in check.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, she's holding you down.
No denying, she's got me in check.
That's hilarious. So, I guess off topic, outside of the your most recent fight, I know you got this BJJ fundraiser grappling tournament coming up. Would love to hear a little bit about that, and maybe this episode can shed a little bit of light on that, and maybe some other people can hear about it, and do what they need to do for you.
Yeah, for sure. So it's a really cool tournament that I've heard of for years. It's called Tap Cancer Out. And basically the way it works is you get a fundraising page when you sign up to compete. and you have target goals throughout your campaign, and they kind of give you like little prizes along the way, however you go. So the first $250, I think it was, if you raise that much, you get to compete for free. If you don't,
Awesome.
it's like $80 to compete or something like that. So if you get 250, you compete for free. After that, it's like a gym bag, a T-shirt, and it goes up and up every time. But all the money goes towards these different foundations that help with cancer research. And it's a really cool thing. You know, a buddy of mine at my gym, his uncle recently passed away due to cancer, so he's competing in it. You know, he competed in it last year, and my fight schedule has never really lined up with jiu-jitsu tournaments. I haven't really consistently competed in them for a few years, and I'd always wanted to, but it sucks because I'd get like this guy was going to fight you in July. I'm like, all right, no tournaments, just fighting, and then the fight falls through and I missed all these tournaments.
Right.
But you know, now I've got open schedule, you know, and I've got family and friends that have been affected by cancer, and best bang for your buck. I can raise money for such a good cause, and I can go out there and, you know, feed my competitive drive, but also have fun knowing it's for, you know, a good cause. So it's called Tap Cancer Out. You know, we all get our own links. You click on the link and it brings you to the fundraising page. And like I said, it's just something really cool. You know, I don't really have like a big giant backstory on it. You know, I do know people that have been affected by cancer. But it's just overall a good cause, and I figured, you know, I'm gonna pay other companies to compete, so I might as well raise money to compete here.
Exactly.
And it's been working out really well. You know, my teammate Ben, I think he's up to $1,600 so far.
Awesome.
I'm up to 650, something like that. So it's been really cool. One of my other teammates, he does it every year. I think he's got almost like $3,000.
That's awesome.
They had a goal for 300,000. I don't know if it was for this tournament because they go around the whole country, or if it was for the entire year, but they're at like 295,000.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, they're killing it, and they donate so much. And even crazier story is a few months back, before they announced that they were doing this Boston one, was somebody stole one of their trailers with all of their competition mats.
Oh man.
Like from their warehouse. Like they just hooked it up and drove off with their trailer. They cut the locks or whatever. And they made this whole big post, and I was like you obviously knew what you were stealing, which means you knew who you were stealing from. So it was just crazy to see somebody do something that messed up, but then Grappling Industries, I heard, donated them all brand new mats.
Oh, that's cool.
So they got their mats back up and running, and they've been using those, and I think they got a couple of their own like new ones. So I'm just glad that they were able to have those tournaments this year, and they weren't super negatively affected.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, yeah, at the end of the episode, once I get this episode out, I know it's Sunday's the deadline for donations, but still, I'll put your link in the description. You know, you never know what could happen in a day.
For sure, I appreciate it.
We'll see what we can do to help support as well, man. But
thank you.
Murky, what else you got, my man?
I don't know, man. I'm just excited. Like, dude, I was juiced Saturday watching that. Everybody loves a good knockout, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
everybody loves a good knockout. Okay, I'm not. Yep. I know I'm not alone there. Your reaction to it was phenomenal. Like you were juiced. Like I know you were.
I was
pumped
hyped, bro. I was hyped.
Yeah. And then it's so funny because he tricked me. Okay, because I really thought that you knocked him out, and when he woke back up, he was still fighting.
Oh, he got me bad. I was scared shitless. I told him he was an asshole for that because I didn't know what to do. I had no idea. I was like, I just backed up and I was like, do I hit him? Do I push him? Am I gonna get in trouble?
Yeah, we were both sitting here like, oh shit.
Yeah, dude. I thought for sure. I was like, he still thinks this is going on. Like someone needs to grit, you know. And then I saw him and I was like, oh my god, dude, he got me. Like
my heart rate skyrocketed. Like, you know, I had the high from the win, and then like I was mellowing out, and then he looked up right at me. We made eye contact, and then he bows his head and he charges at me. So my heart rate shot right up, and I was like, shit, what do I do? And then he starts laughing, and I was like, that's not funny. I was like, you scared the shit out of me.
Like when you watch it from like the broadcast, he gets up and he's on his knees and he's looking at the officials or the ref or whoever was in there, and it looks like to me they're explaining to him like, buddy, fight's over, you know, and then it's almost like he was like, nah, fuck that. Right? Like that's what it looked like. So it was like, nah, fuck that, and he charged at you, and I was like, oh my god, dude, because you've seen that. Like I've seen that
Yeah, guys get choked out or knocked out, and they just don't know where they're at. And my first thought was like, he's about to hit me so fucking hard, like, and my adrenaline's not rushing anymore. I was like, if this dude knocks me out after I knocked him out, I'm gonna be so mad when I wake up.
Yeah, it definitely would have made the clip not as cool. You know what I mean?
Way less cool. If he just got knocked out and woke up and knocked me out, I'd be so mad.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
but it was
props to him.
Yeah, dude, it was awesome. It was just a good time watching that fight.
I hate that you had to miss UFC 295 because I mean,
I caught the end of the Pereira fight, so we went into the bar afterwards, and I got a few drinks, and I went and saw my teammates. And as I was walking away, the table next to us, somebody had it on their phone, so I was just like, "Don't mind me, I'm just hanging out." And then they noticed, and they're trying to like ask me about my fight. I'm like, after this one's over.
Yeah. Hold on,
come on, man, just let me watch it. But no, UFC 295 definitely lived up to its hype. So, but I was just glad we got to have your fight up, and then we were all in here and watching it and whatnot. So, but man,
it was awesome. It was great. It's cool. Like I said, man, I respect anybody that's just on go and ready at any time.
I'll tell you this, because I feel like a lot of fighters aren't honest about it. I don't have a manager. Like, I'm my own manager. Yeah. So I have this inner battle of I need to fight, stay active, win, be exciting, all that BS. But I also have this competitive drive of like, I want to be the best factually, not just like on paper. Like, I want to fight everyone and beat everyone and just be on top of the mountain. But like, as a career, as a business, you can't do that, Like, I'll fight anybody on the planet. Like, when I was at my old gym, there were certain fights that we didn't take, not by my choice, but by my coaches. And I ended up fighting those guys further down the line after I had left. But like, I say this all the time to people, if I could get like almost like a NFL contract, like 2 years in the UFC, this amount of money, whatever, I would be like, don't even send me their name. Just tell me the date and what weight. And I'll show up and fight. Yeah, and I will fight anybody on the goddamn roster. I do not fear, I fear everyone, which means I fear no one.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm afraid every single time I get in there. So you're not scarier than him or him or him. I'm scared of all of you, which means I'll fight any of you.
Yep.
But like, it's a career. So, you gotta pick and choose, unfortunately. And when guys are like, oh, you're ducking me, you're doing this, I'm like, listen, I get what you're saying, but like, if it's that personal to you, we can go outside, or you can come to my gym, or I can go to your gym. Like, it's a job, I hate it too, because there are plenty of guys that duck me, and I only give them a little shit nowadays, and then I'm just like, guys duck me. It is what it is. That's the game, unfortunately.
Right.
But that kind of spawns back to the way the sport is. We're not making a lot of money. Even this fight and my last fight with Dufort were two of the highest paydays in New England MMA history. I can promise you that. Without asking any other promotion, I promise you I got paid the highest out of any other fighter ever in New England. And it's still like not worth it. Me and Dufort should have fought on the Contender Series like people were saying months ago, or in the UFC, maybe in Canada. But that's just how the sport is. It's like, you have to fight these world-class guys for local money and hope that the UFC watches and picks you up. So next time you can fight a world-class guy for world-class money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's tough, especially when you don't have a manager. So it's like, they send me names. I'm like, I'll fight him, 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 and him. And then the other voice goes, hey, idiot, you have bills to pay and a job. You got to keep that job. So it's like, maybe you could fight this guy. Like, I've gotten offers to fight guys that were fresh out of the PFL. Like, I forget their names, but they were like 25-2 or something like that. So if you can cross-reference and figure out who it is, it'll be a reminder to me too. But I got 2 offers from guys that were ex-PFL to fight at Cage Titans for $1,000 and $1,000. And they were like 25-2, coming off of 1 loss and like 5 knockout wins prior to that. And I was like, I'll fight that guy in the PFL for a chance at $1 million.
Yeah, for PFL money.
Not for a guaranteed 1,000 and maybe another 1,000, and that's not a knock on Cage Titans or any promotions. That's just because that's the business. That they're a local promotion. That's what they're working with. But that's the sport. Is like trying to get guys like me to the next level. You got to fight guys that were there or are also on their way up. So it's hard. I get it, and I think that helps me personally. Like, being involved so much. Like, I get it from the business side. I get it from the fighter side. So it's always funny when I hear local guys like, oh, he's ducking me. Like, I started commenting on posts the other day, like welterweights were calling me out, and their buddies were like, he's probably gonna vacate the belt again, and I was like, probably. I was like, I'm trying to win my belt back at 55. I don't want to waste your time, and I'm not gonna take a loss because I'm half-assed doing 170. Like, You know, you got to
Right.
be smart about it. But like I said, if we got NFL contracts, like, hey, you're fighting in the UFC for the next 4 years for this amount of money, don't send me the name, just tell me the location.
That's why I say, like, I understand. I even in the UFC, like, I understand because the levels only go up, right? So, like, even
Yep.
from where you are to where you're trying to get to, the guys that are where you're trying to get to, where it only gets
Exactly.
the stakes only raise higher and higher. So even like watching UFC fighters go through the same thing, I understand the business side of it. That's why I don't hate. I'll never hate on anybody that decides to close a fucking cage door behind themselves with another
Yep.
human being. You're not right in the head to want to be able to do that shit. Like something
Mhm.
has to be fucking wrong with you.
Exactly. I can agree 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like any like normal logical person goes, nah, man, fuck that.
Yeah.
You know, I've shown so many people clips of shit, and they're like, "Why would anybody want to do that?" I'm like, "Cause it's fucking awesome." They're
Yeah.
I'll
like,
tell you the weirdest experience for me, because I still am a diehard MMA fan, but I was before I ever fought. Is I'll be sitting at a bar at my house or whatever, watching the fights with buddies, and somebody will get brutally knocked out or like check a kick and their leg breaks or arm breaks.
yeah,
And I'm like, holy shit, that's crazy. And then my buddy's like, you know you do this, right?
yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
like,
right,
oh shit, you're
Yeah.
right. Like,
Like,
that could be me.
damn, dude,
yeah,
that really could be me one day. That's fucking
yeah,
Yeah,
hilarious.
like I forget all the time, and then I see someone get like tornado kick knocked out, and I'm like, oh, that would suck.
right.
And you got
Yeah,
guys like me and Murky who are in here ripping our shorts off, screaming at the monitors, going "fuck yeah!" Not beat his face in, and then we're not taking
Yeah.
into consideration like you
Do
guys are
both.
the
That's
ones
the
that.
worst part. I'm like, get his ass, and then I'm like, oh shit, that could be me.
that could
Yeah.
be me. Oh damn.
I get yelled at in here every Saturday night because my like this whole setup's in my bedroom. My fiance's behind me. I have 2 kids that are sleeping upstairs, and so like I'm getting like tapped on the shoulder, like keep it down. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you fucking kidding me? Like
Did you
when
see that?
yeah, well I forget. Oh man, the John Jones fight, Dirty.
Oh, when
So
Cyril
when
gone.
with Cyril gone, like it's just such an epic moment, and like the lead up to that, like me
Mhm.
and him are like that's like my favorite fighter ever, and so like just it was just
You get
such like
hyped.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh dude, it was like watching your team win the Super Bowl
Yep.
for me,
I try to
right? Like
explain that to people, like when your favorite fighter fights, not just somebody you know personally, but like in watching, because it happens to me watching the UFC. Like when I watch Stephen Thompson fight, dude, I get like chills, I get nerves because I'm like, dude, please don't lose, please don't
yeah,
lose.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I want nothing more in this moment than Stephen Thompson's hand to get raised, and everybody's like, dude, you're not fighting, right? Like you can sit down. I'm like, no, I gotta stand for this. I can't sit.
He's got a demon in front of him coming soon.
I know I'm gonna be very upset watching that fight. I feel.
And I mean, I'm a big Wonder Boy guy. Loved him his whole career. This fight's gonna be tough.
My only glimmer of hope is maybe, just maybe, Shavkat will stand with him like he did Jeff Neal.
Yeah.
That's my prayer, is that he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go out here and stand with Wonder Boy.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
Probably not, but I can dream, right?
I mean, you never know. Like we just got, so I don't know how much you pay attention to, like so obviously Alex beats Yuri for the light heavyweight title, right? And then Jamal Hill is just like going crazy all over social media and people's podcasts and everything else. And I saw this whole thing today where this dude's like, I'm not even gonna try to wrestle him.
I did see that.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
stand with him. And literally like 4 tweets down from that was a meme of all the people that have said they're going to stand with Alex and not wrestle, and every single one of them was unconscious. And I was like, well, maybe just like wrestle a little bit. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
just a tiny
Like,
bit. So my
maybe,
big
like-
takeaway from his video was he was like, I'm telling y'all right now, I do not plan on wrestling Pereira. Nobody plans on it. And then he hits them, and if they're still awake, they're like, all right, maybe I'll wrestle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing with Strickland, right? Like when we watched him fight Strickland, it was like, man, Strickland's just standing right in front of him. Like,
Yep.
I don't know. And then
That hook, dude.
You're right, and what you said is rang true in that fight specifically, because like yeah, he didn't have a chance to adjust. You know what I'm saying? There was no like, let's get back to the corner and okay, what adjustments can I? He was done. It's over.
He fell in slow-mo. When people start falling in slow motion, it's over.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
that's the that one was pretty bad. That was crazy. And it's just that his power is ridiculous. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just all that stuff. And like I said, for you, like you take these fights. I understand like the whole business side of it, but even just be willing to take a fight on 10 days notice. Not a lot of people do that. It's just a cool thing to see. And then when you go out and you're able to get it done, it makes it that much sweeter. Like I had in my mind too, like you're coming off a loss, where this dude beat your ass, your words, not mine. Okay,
No,
don't get
no,
mad
you're
at me.
right. No, no arguing over here. I mean, if I did it to him, I'd be like, yeah, I beat his ass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so coming off this loss, you take this fight on 10 days notice. Um, I don't know. You just your whole demeanor in the cage looked different to me than
It
it
did.
did against
100%.
Dufort. You look like super comfortable and loose. And
Agree.
to me, it's like you just don't like you're taking a fight on 10 days notice. Like, fuck do you have to lose? It's
Pretty
like,
much.
and right,
Yep.
it's like it just seems so freeing. So it's awesome, to even know all of that and then see you go out there and deliver a Sports Center top 10 fucking
I'm still trying.
knockout.
I'm still trying on ESPN MMA or
I
SportsCenter
know.
Top 10. One of them's got to post it.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah, no, it was really cool, and that's kind of just like, like I said, since the Dufort loss, and it's funny because I talked about this like with my therapist, who knows nothing about MMA. That poor woman, she's not a sports psychiatrist. She's learning just as much as I'm learning how to communicate with my feelings and all that crap. But like the best way, like she explained it was, I told her when I first started watching MMA, dude, I could tell you every single guy that was on the Bellator roster, the UFC roster, guy Pride and FC back in the day, everything, all their stats, who knocked out who. And like as of late, and I think it's because so many guys are in and out of the UFC, it's been
Oh, yeah.
harder to know everybody.
We're also getting older there, bud. So it's harder to
Yeah,
remember things like we were.
unfortunately, when I see 22-year-olds fighting in the
Yeah.
UFC, I'm like, shit, I
I
was just 22 fighting in the UFC.
Yeah, I
Damn
struggle
it.
too thinking about it all the time. I tell Nick this all the time. I'm like, dude, there's like thousands of names. We like back in the day, you like Chuck Liddell, Rampage, Lyoto Machida, like you had names just bam, bam, bam off the top of your head.
Yep.
Nowadays, you just see like a random name. He's 19-0. You're like, where the fuck did this guy come from?
Yep.
Now, all
And
of
he
a
might
sudden
only last 2 fights. He might be gone in 3 months.
Exactly.
But it's been a big eye opener since that fight with Dufort of like, the way she explained it was it's almost like having a relationship. It's like you had this great relationship with the sport, and then as of late you haven't. So you need to, fix that relationship or end it and start a new one with the sport. And that's kind of where I'm at, where like,
Love
yes,
that.
this is my dream, yes, this is my goal, and everything I want good in my life can happen from this. But at the same time, it's like what's gonna happen is gonna happen. Just go out there, put it all on the line and bust your ass in the gym, and that's it. Stressing
Yeah.
it's not gonna change it. And especially with that fight being 10 days notice is kind of where I was at. I was like, some people like, granted, it might have been delusional, it might have been a dumb fight to take, even the Dufort fight, but I'm like, where I'm at. You know what I mean? I
Yep.
got bills to pay, I got a career to make, and like I said, I'm never gonna sit around and just be like, pick me, UFC. It's like I'm gonna show you why you need to pick me. And that fight definitely did it.
That was a good showing. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you're gonna show anything on, that's a good one. Well, and that's like you've said that like 2 or 3 times since we've started this. Like, I don't know if that was a good fight to take or not. Well, let me tell you something. Hindsight is 20/20, right?
Hindsight,
That's what
yeah.
I always say. Hindsight's 20/20. So from where my perspective, from what I'm looking back on, it looks like it was a pretty fucking good fight to take.
It was definitely, in hindsight, great fight to take. But
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
for sure there were people that were worried that I was like, oh, he's going up against a big guy up a weight class, especially how I was mentally trying to be in the zone for 55 and then going back up. I know people were nervous, out of love, of course, but it's like one of those things. It's like, gotta take a risk,
We said it. I told you. We said it. Like I watched the weigh-ins or whatever, and I said, I was like, look at this fucking bowling ball motherfucker that he's fighting. Like,
He was
holy
big.
shit, dude. And I'm thinking, like, dude, we just fought this burly Canadian wrestler, and
You take a
now,
bigger one.
yeah, now we're
Yeah.
going up a weight class to fight a bigger version of that fucking guy. Like, holy shit, man. Like, so but hey, you know what I mean? That's the fight game. Like that's why we love it so much too. Like you never know. You can look at whatever you want to. You can look at his physique versus yours, his style versus yours, his record versus yours, where he's from, how old he is. They show all those stats. They give you all these stats all the time. Oh, so and so and so and so versus, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like it's a completely different game. It's again, to go back to like recent UFC fights we watched, the same thing. Adesanya versus Strickland. Who
never in a million years.
Everybody looks at that whole thing side to side and goes, yeah, Strickland's got no chance.
Yep. Right? I hate saying it in MMA. I was one of the people. I was like, there's absolutely no chance. Like I thought a puncher's chance. If any, he just catches him clean and knocks him out. Caught him and then beat his ass for 5 rounds.
Strike him.
Even
5 rounds.
Even like boxing, right? Like you just had this Ngannou Fury thing. That was way closer than it should have been on paper.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
So, and shout out to Francis for that, dude. Fuck yeah, man.
I think he won that fight. I mean,
so people tell me, people tell me no, but I do.
Listen, and I'll say this: people tell me all the time, like it's not MMA. The judging criteria is different. I definitely haven't followed it tight enough, but like I don't know.
He definitely got outpointed, but Ngannou looked like the better fighter.
It's like that Rocky win. Rocky loses to Apollo Creed, but he was supposed to get smoked, so it's like. Did he really lose?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's now the number 10 ranked heavyweight boxer in the world. So
that's crazy.
That's absurd in one boxing match.
Yep.
That's the crazy. But
nobody's stepping up to get hit by that guy. So like, you can give him number 10.
No. Hell no.
I'm good, dude. I watched what he did to fucking Rosenstruck or whatever you say. I watched that shit. I'm good. That's like that conversation I always used to have with my friends. Like, oh, would you take an uppercut from Mike Tyson for $10 million or whatever? It's like, would I survive?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd survive an Ngannou punch. I really don't.
Would I survive long enough to spend the money that you're paying me to take it? I
feel like if I survived, I'd be like in a coma. So I'd spend my $10 million taking care of myself.
Exactly. That's awesome. Well, Joe, man, I don't have much more for you. We could spend hours in here talking about fighting. So by all means, on another day, another note, we ain't even got to be recording, man. Come in here, hang out, watch the UFC with us, man. We'd love to have you in here and hanging out and just chatting it away. We do this pretty much weekly. Every single fight, we're always in here watching. So we'd love to have you back as a consistent guest on the show and just a homie to hang out in the Discord with, man. So
definitely, for sure. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah, man. We respect your grind. We love what you do. We love the sport. Congratulations on your belt. Plug your socials. Let everybody know where they can watch you, find you, follow you, whatever, and we can wrap it up.
Everywhere. Every social media you got, it's at Giannetti MMA. My name is a pain in the ass, as you've probably heard, so I keep it simple. 2 N's, 2 T's. Giannetti MMA. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, everybody. I appreciate you guys getting a little party together to watch the fights.
It's spelled right back there behind him. Dirty Bird can't read, so he doesn't know how to spell either. But Dirty, so behind him, when he's talking about the N's and the 2 T's, you see the ones that are the same. That's what he means.
I see the MFAM controllers, bud. All right, calm down.
Sir.
I see both of you guys as MFAM controllers. So
we got them on deck.
Love it. Well, Joe, man, thanks again. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Murky, like always, man. I'll see you this Saturday for fight night, and we'll hopefully get you back on a later date, Joe. And if you ever want to stop by and hang out, you know where to find us.
Will do. Thank you again, guys.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Later.
We'll see you later, man. Have a good one.